trend in motor racing is towards touring car racing. The Australian Touring Car Championship, dominated by big V8-powered cars, has captured the imagination of manufacturers, the paying public and television audiences. It all started in Germany. The German Touring Car Championship quickly established itself as the most popular form of motor racing outside of Formula One in Europe. German touring car events attract huge live crowds, with GTC races outside Germany over the last 3 years helping spread the touring car message. The touring car message was so well received in Britain that the British Touring Car Championship is now the premier formula in the United Kingdom. Once again, the success of British touring car racing is based on massive support from manufacturers, the paying public and TV audiences. The racing formula of the future has reached South Africa. The Stanek South African Touring Car Series burst onto the scene at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit on May the 1st. Stanek SATCAR brings South African motorsport into line with overseas trends and opens more doors for international competition. The 8-race Stanek SATCAR Series will be run at 6 venues throughout South Africa. Sportkorps near Pretoria, Goldfields Raceway in Welkom, Port Elizabeth's Aldo Scribante, the South African Grand Prix circuit in East London, and Kyalami and Cape Town join Kyalami on the schedule. The BMW SATCAR Challenge is spearheaded by veteran Tony Viana and young Dion Hubert. The car is based on the BMW 318, powered by a 2-litre 16-valve 4-cylinder motor developing 210 kilowatts. A Hollinger 6-speed gearbox with triple-plate clutch transfers the power onto the road. The stopping department is handled by AP disc brakes front and rear, with a suspension utilizing McPherson struts in front and a multi-link system at the rear. Engine management is controlled by the BMW M electronic system, with a 2-data logging computer and data display also utilized.
It's like when I was a kid and I got the first toy. I didn't know what to do with it. It was so nice to play with it. This is something new. It's completely new era. I've never ever, I had to build my cars that I raced. And now this is the first time that I'll get a toy which is built by the masters in Germany and brought over here. And it's like a mini little Formula One. It feels like a go-kart. I'm enjoying it so much. It's incredible. I mean, this is something different. You have to drive it. You have to be concentrate all the time, or else, the way I was driving aggressively, I'm used to driving aggressively with a modified car. And if you do that, the car hasn't got enough power, so it just holds, sort of holds on you. So you have to be smooth, but you have to keep it there. You just have to say, oh, I can't do it, but you have to keep it in there, dig it in. And it's something different. I've never had experience. I've raced everything, and I feel this is with its body biscuit tires and all, they can grip. And I tell you, they handle very, very well.
Well, I think I've been pretty lucky that my career has progressed in a logical sort of a fashion. I think the SATCAR has arrived just at the right time for me. I think I'm mature enough and good enough to drive it right now. It's obviously the best car I've ever driven, and it's the most exciting for me, but it's arrived exactly at the right time. A year ago would have been too early for me. So everything that's happened has matured me and prepared me for this.
Delta Motor Corporation have thrown the Opel Astra, newly launched in South Africa, into the Stanek SATCAR Lions Den. The cars will be driven by young Lions Mike Briggs and Grant Cleary. The 16-valve 4-cylinder engine, developed by Swindon in England, develops 212 kilowatts. The Astra suspension is McPherson struts at the front and a compound crank system at the rear. AP disc brakes are utilized front and rear, while the Astra makes use of the MBE engine management system with a gearbox, the 6-speed X-Track sequential shift unit.
We've been very lucky in having some support from Motorsport developments in the UK. Basically, what it's allowed us to do is to dial the car in a lot quicker, so we didn't have to go through the learning curve of learning about the car. I don't doubt that the other cars are going to get just as quick as we are. We just arrived there a little bit quicker. I think that the last practice session proved that there's only 1 difference between our car and the competition.
The one thing I did to keep myself busy in the off-season was I did a lot of working out into anticipation for the car, because I'd heard that they are pretty physical to drive. So I did quite a bit of gym work, a little bit of cycling and a little bit of running. But really it was all just something to do to keep my mind from going absolutely crazy, because it's really difficult when you do something like this for so long. You kind of need that adrenaline, and sitting at home not being able to to get out there and mix it with the boys has been tough. So it was really important for me to not only get myself back into the swing of things physically, but also mentally. You know, to keep yourself sharp, get the old thought process working again. But I think it's all there. You know, the first time I got back in the car, nothing was gone. It's all still there. I'm not that rusty yet.
Veteran drivers Mike White and Serge Damso formed the backbone of the Toyota Challenge, with two locally built sprinters developed from the Toyota Carina successfully raced in the British Touring Car Championship. The Andy Rouse-developed engine pushes out around 200 kilowatts, with the Toyota sprinters also making use of the X-Track 6-speed sequential shift gearbox. Toyota uses the Zytec engine management system with stacked data computer.
Our cars are doing quite well, I believe. We're right at this moment slightly off the pace of the front-running car, but I'm sure we'll get there. Like everybody, we're on a very steep learning curve. We haven't got the right ratios, we haven't got the right tires, and, you know, lots of moans and groans. But we're very happy overall. The cars, I think, look magnificent. I think the crowds will like to see them, and I think they will enjoy them. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
I've been waiting for a long time, you know. Since I came back from England nearly 10 years ago, I've been doing Group N for the last 7 or 8, and basically I've been waiting to drive something like this. I've been waiting a long time. But for the first time now, Toyota has a car that's in the top class in SATCAR, so we can compete against all the top people, and that's what we want.
The BMWs of Dion Hubert and Tony Viana were expected to set the pace in qualifying.
The SATCAR has got very narrow tyres, although they're 18-inch, they're very narrow, and it's a very nervous car to drive. The front end's very, very good, and as you turn in, the back will sort of want to step out, and any correction you make, any small correction, guides the car straight away, just like a go-kart. So our modified cars are pretty, I would say, ponderous almost, in that they're slow to react because of their wings and their wide tyres and their heavy weight. Whereas these are very nervous and quick reacting. So it's a bit of an adaptation from a modified car. The other thing they don't have is they don't have any torque. So where the Group N car has lots of torque, this car has to be in the right gear, otherwise you bomb out. So if you, for instance, come into a corner the wrong line, it's still in the same gear that you would use, it just doesn't want to go. And then you might have to go down another gear, and so it's difficult. You must always keep the little engine buzzing along, because they don't have a terrific amount of torque. All the power happens from 7.5 to 8.5, and you've got to keep it in that band all the time. And that makes it difficult to drive, as well as the nervousness.
With no previous benchmark, no one knew quite what to expect in terms of lap times. Mike Briggs, in the superbly engineered Opel Astra, was immediately right up with the pace set by the BMW pair.
It's really a thrill to get into a car that is so immaculately prepared. It certainly gives you a very good level of confidence in the car. It's really a pleasure to drive. Initially, it's not the easiest thing in the world. They're very rigid. They do bounce around. I don't think they're terribly forgiving. You don't want to get too far out of line. But it's really a fun car to drive. You know, 6 gears, you're forever changing gears. There's always something to do. The braking is fantastic. And it sounds good inside the car. You know you're in a racing car.
Pole position went to Mike Briggs in the Opel Astra, ahead of Dion Hubert in the BMW 318. Tony Viana and Mike White shared the second row, with Farouk Dango in the BMW M3 and Serge Damso in the second Toyota on the third row. The 4.2-kilometer Kyalami circuit is one of the most testing in the country. A combination of fast sweeps and second-gear corners, Kyalami constantly keeps car and driver hard at work. There was an air of expectancy as the drivers formed up behind the pace car on the warm-up lap. The race cam view from Mike White's Toyota Sprinter provides a demonstration of the drivers weaving from side to side to build heat into the slick racing tyres. As the man in pole position, it'll be up to Mike Briggs to control the pace of the start when the cars bunch together approaching the lights on the start line. The white line on the track as the cars approach the 90-degree left-hander onto the Panasonic straight is cement dust thrown down by marshals to absorb oil dropped in a previous race. From the race cams in the Dion Hubert and Mike White cars, you can see the field bunching up behind poleman Mike Briggs. Cars are in perfect formation as starter John Wheeler hits the green light button. South Africa's first Stanek SATCAR race is underway, heralding a new era for motorsport in this country. Within little more than a kilometre of racing, there's high drama. Racecam action shows Mike White and Farouk Dangor side by side approaching Nashua corner. The two cars touch, and White spins into the path of teammate Serge Damso. Contact. Steaming through Budget Corner at around 190 kilometres an hour, the Mike Briggs Opel Racecam shows Dion Hubert's Johnson Matthey BMW climbing all over the Opel Astra. Tony Viana is hot on the heels of teammate Hubert, with Farouk Dangor still in touch with the leading trio in the speedy car sales BMW M3. Through the Top Sport S's for the first time, as we take another look at the coming together between Mike White and teammate Serge Damso. This time the action is from Dion Hubert's racecam, with White and Dangor side by side and disaster looming for the Minolta Toyota team.
Unfortunately, Farouk Dangor was very, very close to me. I saw him there, I knew he was there, but I didn't expect him to knock into me. And having cold tyres, we don't stand a chance on the back. Unfortunately, he hit me once, and then I corrected, but he kept pushing. He didn't stop. He just kept going. And I lost it. And the worst thing was, Serge was right behind me. And all I could see was Serge coming straight for me. It was like my biggest nightmare.
It was a cruel blow for the Minolta Toyota squad, which desperately wanted to put up a good showing in the new showcase of South African motorsport. Riding with Serge Damso, we have a slow-mo view of the accident. Coming out of the total curves, Dangor and White are side by side and make contact on the short straight up the hill to Nashua corner. With Nashua arriving at a rapid rate of knots, Dangor and White touch once again. With White trying to maneuver for the inside line entering Nashua, the two cars touch again. For White, the point of no return has arrived. The Toyota Sprinter starts to spin across the track and into the path of Damso, who has nowhere to go. The kind of situation racing drivers dread is now very much reality. Lightning reflexes and skill can no longer rescue White or Damso. Toyota makes contact with Toyota, and the two cars slide into the gravel trap. We pick up race action on lap 7, with leader Mike Briggs charging into the continental hairpin at around 190 kilometres an hour in the Opel Astra. Chasing hard in second place was Dion Hubert in the Johnson Matthey BMW, with teammate Tony Viana holding down third place. With both Toyotas out of the race, it was down to a straight contest between the lone Opel and the BMWs. The Opel had a comfortable cushion over the two BMWs as the leading trio started their last lap. For Briggs, it was an encouraging return to racing after a 6-month break. He appeared to have the race in his pocket, but Hubert and Viana were still chasing hard, but were not close enough to the Opel to exert any real pressure on Briggs. After a sensational season in 1991, when he won the South African Drivers' Championship, Briggs went through a slump last year. The ill-fated Opel Calibra project and Wesbank Challenge Racing put Briggs under strain and did nothing to boost his confidence. He was reveling in the role of once again being a frontrunner, and the superbly turned out Astra was giving him a trouble-free ride. There was a family flavour to the performance of young Briggs. The Opel Astra was carrying the 111 number, first made famous by Father Gordon when he raced a Ford Anglia exactly 20 years ago. Down the IGI mineshaft in excess of 190 kilometres an hour, the drivers are hard on the brakes for the continental hairpin, with 2 corners remaining before the checkered flag for Briggs. Wearing the familiar dark glasses that are now something of a Briggs trademark, the young Port Elizabeth driver looked as though he was out for a gentle Sunday afternoon drive in the park. Into the 90-degree left-hander at the start of the Panasonic straight for the last time, Mike Briggs and the Opel Astra made South African motor racing history by winning the first Stanek SATCAR event run in South Africa. A triumphant flash of the headlights confirmed the victory. An historic victory for Mike Briggs and the Opel Astra. Dion Hubert came in second ahead of Johnson Matthey BMW teammate Tony Viana. Fourth man home was Farouk Dango in the Speedy Car Sales BMW M3.
I think I've almost forgotten what it feels like to win. And we certainly picked the right day and the right series to do it in. And we've got the right product, I believe, and it really, really feels good. It was a nice car to drive. It was a good race. It worked out my way. And I don't know if it's always going to be that easy. I certainly don't think so with the likes of Viana and Hubert. But as long as we stay winning, I'm happy.
While it was smiles all round in the Opel racing camp, there was some frantic work going on in the Toyota pit to get Serge Damso's car serviceable for round 2.
I don't think it's major damage. It's just, I just flattened my tyres, and now we've got another heater and tyres, we only lighted 6 tyres, so.
Serge Damso was back in the fray, but Minolta Toyota teammate Mike White was forced to sit this one out as a spectator. First round winner Mike Briggs was once again in pole position, with Dion Hubert alongside him on the front row. Briggs got them off to a clean start, but there were problems for Farouk Dango, who had to start from pit lane after a rapid tyre change after picking up a puncture on the warm-up lap. A determined Dion Hubert was out to exert as much pressure as possible on Mike Briggs. Hubert stuck the nose of the Johnson Matthey BMW under the boot of the Opel Astra, with the field charging down the old Kyalami pit straight at speeds of around 190 kilometers per hour. It takes a brave driver to try and overtake on the outside of Budget Corner, but Hubert was keen to have a go on one of the hairiest corners at Kyalami. Serge Damso had a huge moment as the Minolta Toyota Sprinter got away from him. With the Stanek Group N Class A field bearing down on him, Damso only just made it out of harm's way before rejoining the battle. Budget Corner has claimed many a victim over the years, and the one thing you don't want to do in what had the makings of a classic budget accident is to make contact with a wall on the inside of the circuit. Damso is back into the action just as Farouk Dango goes through, with the 2 SATCARs now faced with the prospect of working their way through the Group N field. After his opening lap drama in round 1, Damso certainly couldn't complain about getting his money's worth in adrenaline shots. Up ahead, Dango was looking for the quickest route around the Stanek Group M backmarkers, and there was every prospect of a good scrap developing between the 2 SATCARs. Coming out of the Double Apex Westbank corner, down the IGI mineshaft at over 190 kilometers an hour, Dango and the chasing Damso were in among the Stanek Group N midfield runners. Drivers just roll off the power into the left-hander at the bottom of the mineshaft before it's heavy braking for the Continental hairpin. Damso was forced out wide, and there are times on the racetrack when a bit of rally experience can come in useful. Kyalami is the widest track in the country, but the Group N brigade were sensibly staying out of the way as Damso closed in on Dango. The Minolta Toyota Sprinter gradually edged alongside the Speedy Car Sales BMW M3 down the main straight, with Damso first into the tricky total curves with the right-hander taken flat out. Damso was hard at work in his office, while behind him Dango was about to get a wake-up call. Approaching Nashua Corner, Dango got himself all crossed up, and there were a few anxious moments for the Clarkstorp used car dealer before he got everything gathered up again. Up ahead, a tremendous fight developed between the Opel Astra and the 2 Johnson Matthey BMWs. In a situation fraught with potential danger, the Briggs racecam picks up a moment of high drama. The 2 BMs touch in the Top Sport S's, and Hubert spins out. Briggs and Viana disappearing into the distance, Hubert frantically tries to get the BMW mobile again. We pick up an action replay of the incident from a trackside camera. Briggs leads the trio into the S's with Viana on the inside. As Joubert tries to go through on the outside, he gets a little nudge from Viana, and it's enough to unsettle the second BMW, and Joubert spins out. Another look at what was a major talking point, this time from Viana's viewpoint. The coming together between the two BMWs was a bitter blow for the team and sparked a touch of controversy. It was a costly moment for the BMW team. Viana, who has made a miraculous recovery from a series of operations for cancer, was still in hot pursuit, but Briggs had been given the breathing space he needed. We pick up the action as Briggs starts his fifth lap. Suddenly, the Opel Astra has a huge lead, and there's not a challenger in sight as he sweeps into the total curves. It's Dion Joubert who appears in second place, followed by Serge Damso in the Minolta Toyota Sprinter. Tony Viana has suddenly disappeared from the leaderboard. Viana mystery is quickly cleared up as he coasts into the pits. A sick-sounding Johnson Matthey BMW has run into mechanical gremlins, and his race is over. BMW honour is now solely in Joubert's hands, and he's driving over the limit as he throws caution to the wind in an effort to make up ground on race leader Mike Briggs. Bitter disappointment helped add fuel to the Joubert fire.
Obviously, I wanted to win so badly with my new car and the new formula. The disappointment I can't really describe to you. It builds up, you know, the whole thing builds up, and then this terrible anticlimax of spinning off, and it take a while to get the car back going and so on, and they're gone.
With a race and a double for the day in his pocket, Briggs could afford the luxury of slowing his pace to conserve the Opel Astra. This and Joubert's angry final flurry saw the gap between the pair close dramatically over the last 2 laps. Damso was running steadily in third place with no further hiccups after his first lap fright. With 2 corners to go, Briggs was home and dry. Joubert was still on a charge and closed right up on Briggs as they entered the Panasonic straight for the last time. It was a determined final flurry from Joubert, but Briggs always had matters under control, and there were no last-minute palpitations in the Opel racing camp. A double for the day for Briggs, with the BMW and Toyota camps left to reflect on what might have been. A delighted Briggs acknowledged the presence of a little nostalgia over the choice of the 111 number for the Opel Astra.
You know, when it came up as to which number we chose, I asked Delta to consider 111 because obviously it has a lot of meaning to me. I grew up on seeing pictures of 111, an old Ford Anglia, and it means a lot to me. Plus, we've also got a little bit of a superstition there. We believe that if we put 3 ones on now, at the end of this year, we'll be able to peel 2 off and we'll still be number 1.
I was both delighted and disappointed. Delighted in that there was tremendous public response and public interest. Delighted in that the manufacturers had done what they could to get cars there, and delighted with the performance and the quality of finish of the vehicles. The 2 races, however, were a little disappointing in that in the first one, the Toyotas went out early on the first lap. That was disappointing for everybody, including, of course, Toyota. And in the second one, we had the coming together of the 2 BMWs when it looked as though they were going to really challenge the Opel. So I think that for the next race, next weekend in Goldfields, I think we've got the possibility of a tremendous event in that we're going to have another 2 motor cars there. The Nissan will be there and the second Opel. The cars that were damaged will be repaired. The performance, I think, will be closer, and I think that there we've got the possibility of a really interesting next 2 rounds of this challenge.
You've been watching a Video Sport and Rob Weightman co-production.